I ran into my old boss, and he said that he could get me on at the company he's working for now. And he wasn't sure what he could start me at because he didn't make that decision, but he knew within a couple of years I'd be making six figures. Great benefits, security, and this was at the one of the lowest points of my business journey. I had applications filled out at other companies. My resume was, updated. I was ready to quit, and I'd wondered if maybe this was a sign from God to take the safe route. But then I remember something that changed everything, and I turned him down. And today I'm going to tell you why. And it has to do everything with understanding the business journey, understanding that it's not a destination. So this is from my book, Business is a Journey, Not a Destination. And this would be the introduction and wanting to begin a journey. And some first might ask, what is a journey? And a journey could be defined simply as traveling from one place to another. Typically, a journey would take place because one has an end goal destination. A journey would be the path that one takes, as he's taken in, say, the sights, the sounds, the fellowship on the way to their prescribed destination. If you've ever desired to take a journey, there must have been some longing, to go there in the first place. There had to be a why. Let's say you have chosen a weekend camping trip as your destination. Why would you leave the comfort of your home to drive several hours to spend a small fortune to live like a homeless guy who sleeps on the rocky ground in the critter-infested wilderness? You might be thinking, well, my end goal would be to get away and to relax. But it is because of the journey that you'll have as you strive towards that goal to get away and to relax. The journey is why you pursue after your destination. The hours of planning, packing, loading the car, buying the necessary junk food, finding the campsite, setting up your tent, catching some fish to cook, starting a fire, kicking back as you sit in front of that campfire with your family, watching the embers slowly rise with the smoke. This is the journey to your end goal, to get away and relax. The journey will continue the next morning as you make breakfast on that fire, as you hike the trails, enjoy the views, maybe take an afternoon swim, only to find yourself back at that campsite in front of that fire, watching the embers slowly rise with the smoke. Something like this will continue day after day until it's time to return home. But the journey continues, whether it be a pleasurable stop at your favorite restaurant, or if something goes south, say you have a blowout on the way home. Either way, this is the journey to your new goal, sleeping in your own bed. The journey is there for you to enjoy. Look around, explore new places, notice the common things that are usually taken for granted. With a weekend getaway or a vacation, the journey seems to be more recognizable and even enjoyable as you look around and notice the beauty that's usually missed. But it shouldn't be the case. This is your life. It's your life. Think about that. And think of your life as a major picture show on the big screen. You're the lead actor and ultimately the director. In this movie called Your Life, you can be the villain, the victim, the hero or heroine, the comic relief, the faithful servant who helps the hero. It's your movie. You get to choose. Which character do you want to be? And how do you want this movie to be? Do you want it to be a tragedy, comedy, action, or an adventure with epic success? What movie genre do you want your life to model after? You cannot change the past, but you get to choose the future and how this movie script ends because you're the director. Your character and the genre of your current movie called Your Life might need to change, especially if the script isn't what you want and if it's not heading toward the happy ending that you desire. Remember, you get to write the script, You get to choose how it'll work out. Though at times things will not work out as you plan, but this is when you do a little improv. It's kind of like you're going to that camping trip and then there's a road closure and a detour. You just don't turn around. You work your way around it. So on your pursuit to your end goal, your happiness will mostly depend on how you handle and react to the journey called life. For those thinking about starting a business, if your business journey hasn't begun yet, why do you want to start one? What is your why? What is your end goal? What do you want to pursue? What problem do you want to solve? What need do you want to fulfill? Are you seeking after extreme wealth, massive success, a lot of recognition, wanting to prove someone wrong? Or are you just looking for a little side hustle, little money? Do you just want to do your own thing, set your own hours? Or maybe you just want to work for yourself so you can achieve your goals instead of someone else's goals. One of my personal whys for being a business owner is I want to be able to give large amount of monies to my church and organizations that just doesn't give stuff away to people, but actually trains and teaches people. I want to help get the gospel out, and to do this and to continue to do this, I need to create a financial hedge around my family so thick that nothing can penetrate it. So what is your why? Whatever it is, you need an end goal or purpose so you know how to move forward or what to move towards even. On the pursuit of the end goal, this will be your journey as you learn from and enjoy life's experiences. Let's say to current business owners, sometimes the journey gets tough. You know this, you've been doing this. And it feels like there's no strength or even reason to go on. The destination seems out of reach, maybe insurmountable. This feeling of hopelessness has happened to every successful business owner. Read the autobiographies of great business owners. They've all gone through this, but they push through. And there'll be days that you'll want to quit, maybe weeks, months. You might even dust off your resume and update it so you're ready to hand it out. The desire to have a steady paycheck, job security, and less responsibility is normal. I've been there. Honestly, as I write this, I've considered to quit. I've put out applications in the past, just because it just seemed like I couldn't get ahead. And I've been close to throwing in the towel many times. There was this one low time that I was ready to quit. And it just so happened my old boss, he randomly pulled up out front of my house. I was out getting the mail. And offered me employment, at his new place he's working at. And, I'm thinking, is this a sign? Should I quit? The idea of a steady paycheck was very tempting. Especially I was in a very long dry spell. And he couldn't promise what it would start at, but he knew within a couple of years it would be six figures. And, I'm thinking, that's more than I've made, in my own business. And it was very tempting, very tempting. After dreaming a bit about having security, a fat paycheck every Friday, I remembered one of my whys of starting a business. I want to be able to give away large amounts of money to my church. I want to help get the gospel out. I want to build a financial hedge around my family so strong that nothing can penetrate it. And, a six-figure income would help do that. But, I did recognize that six figures, that was a cap, the most I could ever make. And, though that was a lot, that wasn't what I was pursuing after. So I wasn't interested in six figures. I'm actually interested in 7, 8, and 9 figure annual incomes. to help achieve the desired goal that I'm seeking after. So, as you already know, the business journey is tough, and at times you must remind yourself why you started your business, why you left that secure job. And everyone's why might be different, and you might have several whys. But, don't forget why you started or even what you're pursuing after. So here's what I need you to do. You need to do this right now. Before you close this video, before you move on to the next thing, write down your why. Not in your head, but on paper. Or type it in the comments below. Make it real. Make it concrete. Because I promise you, and I mean this, the day will come when someone you love, someone you trust, will tell you to quit. They'll mean well. They think they're protecting you. They think that they're helping you to understand to protect your family, but they won't understand your why because they can't, because they don't see where you're going. And at that moment, if you haven't locked this down, you will listen to them. You will quit. And I've talked to many people, many friends who had quit, and they just have a defeated spirit about them. You'll walk away, and the very thing you were meant to build, you'll just walk away from it. So, my why kept me going when I had tempting job offers, when I wanted to quit, when I lost money, when people said God wouldn't want that for you. My why was stronger than their doubt. And it has to be stronger. So write it down, lock it in your mind, protect it. Protect it as your business depends upon it, because it does. This is chapter 1 of Business is a Journey, or actually the intro. And we're just getting started. So, come along for the ride. Thanks for watching.